Hello, don't you love this nice yellowy light? Well, I'm in my hotel bedroom, and it's an extraordinary place. It's called the Admiral Hotel in Copenhagen, right by the waterfront, and I'm going to explore that. Maybe not tonight, but tomorrow. A bit chilly for tonight, but it looks like it's an old warehouse or something, or fisherman's wharf. Looks as though it could be haunted. And it's got all these lovely beams and everything. And so I just had a little nap because I had, as I think I told you, at 3:30 this afternoon, I've had quite a hectic day trying to find my way through the traffic and everything else and block turnings in Copenhagen. I haven't had a chance to look at Copenhagen yet, but I think what I'm going to do is, for the 1-3 days that I shall have, I think I might go on a conducted tour, one of those red buses, you know, that are open at the top. I think I might do that. I'll take my hot water bottle with me just in case it's cold. But we shall see. The reason I say I've only got one full day, I've actually got 2 full days here, but tomorrow, sport seems to follow me around everywhere. I was plagued with bicycles in Bodo in the Arctic. And now I'm plagued with the triathlon, a marathon that's taking place through the streets here, right outside. They've told everybody they've got to move their cars because they're not allowed to leave them there. Well, luckily I'm allowed to leave mine because it's actually in the forecourt of the hotel. So that's all right. But now, as for eating, I don't know whether I can eat at this hotel. It's frightfully expensive. I mean, I just looked up breakfast. You have to pay extra for breakfast here, and it's roughly 20 to 25 euros per person for a buffet breakfast. So I shall probably go out and see if I can find Joe's Cafe or something. I don't know if such a thing exists around here. And also dinner is a minimum of roughly 50 euros for a 2-course meal. Now, I know all of you out there are extremely rich, and especially my friends Nino and Flavio. I know they're very rich. They could afford it, but I can't. So we shall have to see. I shall go and experiment after dinner. Now, I do get some very weird requests from you. You remember I said if you've got any questions to ask. Various people have asked me questions about my career. And I remember at our lovely party in Benidorm some weeks back, I did tell a couple of rather rude stories about A, Doctor Who, my time on Doctor, and B, on Fraggle Rock. There's a couple more I can tell you, which are really quite silly ones, but I'll tell you the time. You see, when I started out in television, I was an extra. And the reason I was an extra is because my friend Cedric Messina, who was a producer in television at that time, said, if you want to learn about television, he said, you know how to write for television. He said, you must come and experience it and see how it's done. So he gave me the chance to sit in the studio and be an extra, and he paid me. He said, I can pay you £5 a day, £5. I dread to think what it is now. And he said, then you'll learn about television. And that's what I did. I learned an awful lot about television by being an extra. Well, on one occasion, I was in the what is it's no longer the television centre at Shepherd's Bush, sadly, but it was quite a huge studio, and TC1, as it was known, Television Centre 1, was the largest studio at that time. It was the largest studio in Europe, and I got a job for £5 a day. Appearing in a huge epic. It was I think it was part of a serial, or it may have been a play, I don't know, but it was about the mafia in Sicily, and it was done on epic proportions, really, because you know, you didn't do those sort of things in the studios, or you didn't have the money to do filming, even much filming anyway in those days. So anyway, I was in this. Now, first of all, you have to go to the costume department. Even though you're an extra, you've still got to look convincing. So I went to the costume department, and I had to be fitted out with a Carabiniere's uniform. That was a sight for sore eyes, as you can imagine. I had a cap and a uniform, a jacket. But when it came to the trousers were about 3 times too large for me. They had nothing else. And as I was the last one there, as usual, I got a pair of trousers far too big for me. Anyway, I said, well, I can't go out in these. And they said, yes, you can. It's perfectly all right. We've got some string. We can tie up your trousers with some string. Just tie it in a knot. I said, oh, my God, all right. Is that all right, do you think? And they said, yes, of course it is. Well, I took their word for it. And out I went, and we did various rehearsals. Well, in those days, they were live. It was a very good producer, a female producer, who we all respected very much. Can't remember her name now, but I remember her first name, but I don't want to really name her. But she was a lovely lady. And they built in the television centre, TC1 as they called it, a huge set. And it was a fountain square, a piazza, I suppose, in a small Sicilian town. And in the middle of the square was a fountain, needless to say. Well, the baddies were inside one of the cafes around the edge of this piazza. And so us Carabinieres had to take them by surprise, which we did, my goodness. Now, of course, you weren't allowed to use live ammunition in rifles. Well, I had my rifle, and of course, it had cartridges in it. And all of us had cartridges in it, thank God, otherwise the whole cast would be dead. And anyway, I got my gun. And then the producer said, now on action, I want you all to fire your guns towards the Sicilian bandits, the mafia, who are in that cafe there. And we've got special effects, and it will look as though we've shot holes in the windows, and the windows will crash and everything else. So that was that. So we pretended to do it 2 or 3 times. But then it came, that was the dress rehearsal, but then it came to the actual live broadcast. And we came to the live broadcast and we did it. Well, there was I, and I had to lean over the top of the fountain, the edge of the fountain. And as I did so, and the water was splashing into me, and as I fired, it scared the life out of me, and you know what happened, of course, don't you? The string around my trousers just snapped, and down came my trousers. And there was a red light on to say that we were in the middle of a live transmission. Well, of course, the cameramen were hysterical, but they couldn't make a noise. And there was me fumbling to get my trousers up. Luckily, I had boxer shorts on, you're pleased to know, and relieved to know. But my trousers came down, and there I was trying to fire with one gun and pull my trousers up with the other. Well, that was one silly story. And then a little later, she had this huge set, and she said she wanted somebody to be a prison warder in this prison, which was built near the same set. And so, but it was very high up. And she said, I wanted to see the warder's face at the bars of this window, but it's very high up and it needs going up a high ladder. Who was chosen? So I was chosen to go up this ladder, and it was very high. It must have had about 50 or 60 steps. And I was absolutely terrified because it was wobbling, even though there were men down below holding it. And so I went up there, and she said, now then, she used to call us by our characters' names. And she said, now then, soldier dear, Now then, soldier dear, she said, I want you closer to the, this was in the rehearsal. She said, I want your face closer to the bars so that I can see you, because you're too far back and it's too dark and I can't see you. So she said, so I want you to grab the bars and get closer. So I did. I got a bit closer. She said, no, darling, soldier dear, I cannot see you. Please come closer. Well, to do this meant bending my whole frame in half so that my bum was sticking up in the air. And I thought, this is not on. This is not going to be easy. So, and she kept on saying, closer, dear, closer, soldier dear, closer. So I did, and finally I did it. And as I did it, my whole weight leaned against the set, which was not a particularly sturdy set, and the whole thing came down, me with it. It's a wonder I wasn't killed. But down I came, and thank God it wasn't on the take. It wasn't on the actual live transmission. And there I lay. Oh, I'll tell you just one more and then I'll shut up. I was in an extraordinary piece called The Siege of Manchester. And it was directed by a very good director, a very distinguished director named Herbert Wise, and again produced by my friend Cedric Messina. Okay. Now, it was a restoration piece, obviously. So I had to have a big kind of Gainsborough lady wig almost, and a terrible wig down my ears and everything. And I was put into a rocking chair in this very small kind of chamber. And I was given a clay pipe to smoke. And I really had to smoke it. So I sat there. And again, this was on live television. And I sat there. And the director, Herbert Weiss, said, now I want you, that person in the chair, rocking chair, I want him, that person, to rock back and forth. And nothing will perturb him in any way. He's not perturbed in any way about what's going on around him. He ignores everything and everybody. So I thought, oh, that's very strange, but there you are, I'm not the director. So I sat there and I started to rock in this chair and puff away at this clay pipe, long clay pipe. And the curls kept getting into my eyes, so I was pushing them away. And I back and forth, back and forth. Well, while I was there, suddenly, without my knowledge, two men came dueling, duelists. They came and duelled around me, sword fighting. And I thought, now what do I do? But he said, you don't react to anything that's going on. You just sit there and you just keep on, you know, doing that all the time in the rocking chair. And I got really quite worried because I didn't know whether they were real swords or not, or whether they might stick it in my ear or something. Anyway, that carried on, and I was very relieved when that came to an end, but I still had to carry on because it was a continual take. And I carried on puffing away at my clay pipe, my white clay pipe, and rocking back and forth in there. Suddenly I heard, ah! And I saw a girl rushing into the chamber, and she was kind of playing hide and seek with a young man who came in who was clearly trying to rape her. And I didn't look from side to side. I just carried on with my pipe, and I just kept smoking it away, and the smoke kept coming up into my eyes. And I watched these two, and they were going, ah! And then he suddenly got hold of her, and he grabbed her, picked her up, and carried her out of the chamber. And we heard the screams going off, as obviously she was being raped. I thought, this is a rum old do. I wonder what this is, because extras were never told what the thing was about. They never shown a script. They just had to guess what it was all about and then go home and take the money with them. And then the very last thing that happened was I just carried on there. Suddenly I heard gunfire. When I say gunfire, it was heavy cannon fire. Boom, boom. I still carried on. I thought, uh-oh, what's going to happen now? But there was cannon fire, and it was clearly being aimed at the building in which I was rocking to and fro, and also smoking my pipe with the curls in my eyes. And I just carried on, took no notice. He said, take no notice. So I took no notice. Suddenly, the entire ceiling came down because the idea was that a cannonball had hit this room, I suppose. And what it was, it didn't really happen like that. My eyes glanced very quickly upwards and I saw several men lined around the edge of the set, looking over the top, with bags of plaster. And they were throwing plaster down at me, and it was just covering me with the pipe and my poor old hat, which I kept trying to put on, and my curly wig. But I still carried on, while all the ceiling bits of plaster came down on top of me and everything. And I carried on like that until finally he said, cut. And that was the end of it. And I thought, well, what am I doing sitting here in my curly wig and my Gainsborough lady's hat, smoking my pipe, rocking to and fro, and not reacting? But it's what he wanted, and I don't know why. However, a few minutes later, I suddenly heard a voice call out. Because it was a rehearsal, and I knew what was coming for the live broadcast later. I suddenly heard this voice saying, because it was a very substantial voice, "Oh my God, Victor Pemberton!" And I looked around. Of course, it was my friend Cedric Messina, who had quite a guffaw, and he was roaring with laughter. And he came in and he said, "What's going on here?" And with him was a man who said, "Oh my goodness gracious, what's this all about?" And it was one of the other actors in it, a minor character you may have heard of, known as Sir John Gielgud. And Sir John Gielgud, who was also a great friend of Cedric's, he came in. Little did I know that I'd be working with him later. He came in, and the two of them just stood in front of me and roared with laughter. I thought that was not on, don't you? I mean, rocking back and forth with a pipe and a hat. And I mean, it's a bit much. Well, that's what you have to put up with, and you get £5. Well, that's what we got in those days, £5 a day. Right, that's my television stories. I forget who it was that asked me to tell them, but I've told them. If you want any more, you must let me know. But those were the days. So now, what am I doing? I think I've already talked too much, don't you? I'm going to try and get a good night's sleep. I'm always talking about sleep, aren't I? But, you know, as I do a lot of driving, I have to. I'm so looking forward to getting back to Moorland and to Benidorm. This afternoon, my silly old phone wouldn't work. And the reason for that is I lost the PUK number and the PIN number too. Not unheard of in my vocabulary, but I finally found it, thank goodness. And I was able to phone my friend John Coffey. Now, I also wanted to tell you, and this might be of interest to my two friends, Nino and Flavio in Italian Twist, the restaurant in Benidorm. I think I told you earlier, in an earlier broadcast, that I met up with a very nice chap in Hamburg named Tony. And he told me, he sent me an email to say that he had met me in Italian Twist last May. and he was in a restaurant there called Italian Twist, and he was in there with another friend, and also with his friend Jill. So that was very interesting. So we had met before. And so when I went to Hamburg on the way out, we met up and had coffee together. However, on my way back on Tuesday, we're going to have a meal together. And I'm very happy about that. And I hope he'll come and pay another visit to Benidorm sometime. He lives in Hamburg. So it's quite interesting how these things happen. Then I'm going to meet another dear friend, the son of a lovely family, German family, who I've known for many years and I haven't seen for many years. And we're meeting in Munich. And his name is Franz, or Frank. And he is, I believe he still is, the principal trumpet player or solo trumpet player for the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra. So I've got some rather nice things to look forward to, but I'm going to have a quick look around Copenhagen and rest a bit. And then I shall be on my way on Tuesday. And that will be saying farewell not only to Denmark, but to the whole of Scandinavia. I've spent a lot of time in Scandinavia. And needless to say, I'm looking forward to getting back. Well, you know, I can still taste that terrible powder and the smoke from that clay pipe in the studio. So it's a bit much. If anybody asks you to do something like that, you know, they're always asking for extras in that series called Benidorm, which is made in Benidorm. If they ask you to do that, smoke a clay pipe and have plaster thrown at you, say no. Well, you can say yes if it's worth a little bit more than £5, okay? All right, folks, well, I guess it's time for me to put my shoes up for another night and, well, see if I can go and get something to eat for less than €50. And we'll see what happens. But I hope you're not too bored with my silly saws. But I look forward to seeing and hearing from you wherever you are in the world. And I hope I can hear the sound of the coins and the notes going into tins and bags and all sorts of things for our dear heroes, for our help for heroes. I hope you're not forgetting them, because although I do these little podcasts, they're just to mark where I am really and give an update on how silly I am. And but don't forget to help them out, will you? Because it's very, 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 very important. So until we meet at, I hope, on time tomorrow at 2:00, while all the triathlon lot, I'll try and point the camera out the window so you can get a view of that. Oh, God, sportsman. So I'll try and do that. Until we meet again tomorrow, then, I'll say, wherever you are, put your feet up, enjoy yourselves, eat your Mars bars and your caviar, whatever it is you're eating, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to another few minutes with you tomorrow, lunchtime at 2:00. All right? Until then, good night to you all. Sweet dreams.